Don't ignore your pennies, especially the 1984, 2012, and 2019 Lincoln cents. Rare dates, minting mistakes, and high grades have turned ordinary-looking coins into valuable collector's items worth serious money. The 1984 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008. Designed by Victor David Brenner for the obverse and Frank Gasparo for the reverse, this series commemorated Abraham Lincoln on the front and his memorial in Washington, D.C. on the back. By 1984, the U.S. Mint had been striking billions of pennies each year, and because of the volume of production, mistakes sometimes slipped through. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1984 penny is the double die obverse, specifically on Lincoln's ear. This variety shows an extra earlobe due to misalignment during the die creation process. To the casual eye, it might not even be noticeable unless you're looking closely, but to collectors, this tiny detail transforms the coin into a treasure. To understand why errors like this occur, it helps to know a bit about how coins are made. Dies, which are the tools used to stamp designs onto blank coin planchets, must be prepared with absolute precision. If there is even the slightest misalignment in the hubbing process, where the coin design is transferred onto the die, the resulting strike can leave behind duplicate images or distortions. This is how the famous double die errors are born. On the 1984 penny, the doubling is most noticeable on Lincoln's earlobe, creating the effect of a second ear below the original. While this might seem like a small mistake, collectors prize these quirks because they highlight the imperfections of mass production in an otherwise standardized system. What makes the 1984 double die penny especially exciting is its rarity. Tens of billions of pennies were struck during the 1980s, but only a tiny fraction carry this error. That scarcity fuels demand. The average person might pass by such a coin without realizing its significance, but coin collectors know its value. High-grade examples, especially those preserved in mint state condition with minimal wear, are the ones that command the highest prices at auction. And when I say high, I mean truly high. Some pristine specimens of the 1984 double die penny have sold in the range of $52,000 to $124,000. Imagine rummaging through a jar of change and pulling out something that could pay for an entire year of college tuition. But what's fascinating about coins like this isn't just their financial value. It's also the story they carry. Each era coin is a reminder that even the most well-oiled machines can make mistakes. In a way, the 1984 penny symbolizes how imperfection can create something more beautiful and valuable than perfection ever could. Collectors aren't simply chasing after a metal disc. They're chasing history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. Now, let's put this into perspective. When you look at a 1984 penny, it's copper-plated zinc, weighing just 2.5 grams. After 1982, the composition of the penny shifted from mostly copper to mostly zinc with just a thin copper layer, which was a cost-saving measure for the mint. This makes the 1984 penny part of the newer zinc series, which by itself isn't rare at all. But the error on Lincoln's ear makes it stand out dramatically from the billions of others minted that year. In circulated condition, most 1984 pennies aren't worth more than face value, but when you find one with this doubling, especially in uncirculated condition, you've essentially found a golden ticket. Collectors who specialize in error coins often say that the thrill isn't just in owning the coin but in the hunt itself. Imagine going through rolls of pennies, coin by coin, searching for that subtle doubling on Lincoln's earlobe. Many people dedicate hours, even days, to this pursuit. And when they finally come across the error, it's like striking gold. That's part of what drives the coin collecting community, the mix of patience, knowledge, and luck that can lead to an incredible discovery. The 1984 double die penny is also a great example of how the numismatic market rewards education. If you know what to look for, you can find value where others see none. Many people probably have this penny sitting in a drawer, completely unaware of its worth. But those who understand the markers of the error, specifically the doubled earlobe, are in a position to recognize and appreciate it. This knowledge translates directly into potential financial gain, especially considering the staggering $52,000 to $124,000 valuation range. Now, some of you might be wondering, how often do these coins show up? While they're not impossible to find, they're still very rare. Reports show that most examples have been found in circulation, which means they were released into the public and used just like any other penny. Over time, many of these coins have been lost, damaged, or overlooked. That makes well-preserved specimens even more valuable today. Every year that passes reduces the chance of finding one in pristine condition, which only increases the demand among collectors. What's particularly captivating about the 1984 penny is the way it bridges the gap between something everyday and something extraordinary. Pennies are perhaps the least valued coin in our currency, often disregarded or tossed aside. Yet here we have an example where a penny transcends its humble face value to become a six-figure collectible. That contrast is what makes stories like this resonate so strongly with people. It reminds us that value isn't always obvious and that sometimes the most overlooked things can carry the greatest worth. So, let's say you're inspired to check your change. What exactly should you look for? First, find a 1984 penny. Then, under good lighting and perhaps with a magnifying glass, closely examine Lincoln's ear. If you notice what looks like a second earlobe directly beneath the first, you may very well have a double die example. If you believe you've found one, the next step is to have it authenticated and graded by a professional service such as PCGS or NGC. Their certification not only verifies the error but also assigns a grade that greatly influences the coin's market value. A lower grade example might be worth hundreds or thousands, but those pristine mint state coins are the ones that can command the incredible $52,000 to $124,000 price tag at auction. Another interesting aspect of the 1984 penny is how it connects with the broader world of error coins. Collectors often view it alongside other famous double die varieties, such as the 1955 double die cent or the 1972 double die cent. While the 1984 penny may not be as instantly recognizable as those earlier classics, its rarity and market demand put it in the same league in terms of desirability. Many seasoned collectors aim to build a set of double die cents spanning different decades, and the 1984 is an essential piece of that puzzle. When you think about it, owning a coin like this is owning a piece of history. It's a conversation starter, a tangible artifact of a mistake that turned into a marvel. And it shows how something as routine as minting coins can occasionally produce something truly unique. That's part of what keeps the world of numismatics so exciting. It's full of surprises. In closing, the 1984 US 1 cent penny error is a powerful reminder that value can hide in plain sight. This small copper-plated zinc coin, worth only a cent to most people, can be worth between $52,000 and $124,000 if it carries the famous double die error. That's life-changing money sitting in the palm of your hand. The lesson here is clear. Never underestimate the coins in your pocket or your change jar, because sometimes those overlooked little pieces of metal are more valuable than you could ever imagine. You're going through your spare change, maybe dumping a handful of coins out of your pocket at the end of the day, expecting to find nothing more than the usual pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. But sitting there, blending in with the rest, is a 2012 US 1 cent penny. At first glance, it looks just like every other penny you've handled 1,000 times before. But what if I told you that a rare 2012 penny error, the kind most people overlook, could be worth as much as $33,000 to $92,000? Suddenly, that small copper-colored coin becomes something extraordinary, a hidden treasure that carries with it both history and incredible value. This is the story of the 2012 1 cent error coin, a modern piece of money that reminds us the smallest details can sometimes change everything. The penny has been around for centuries in America's history, but in 2012 it was already undergoing a unique chapter of its own. Since 2010, the reverse side of the penny has featured the Union Shield design, a bold and patriotic image that replaced the Lincoln Memorial reverse. The obverse still carried the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909. By 2012, billions of pennies were being struck, and at that scale of production, even the most careful systems can't avoid occasional mistakes. The US Mint, while known for its precision, is not immune to small errors in the minting process. These errors are often so rare that they turn a simple 1 cent coin into a collectible worth thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of dollars. The 2012 penny, like all pennies of its era, was composed mostly of zinc with a thin copper plating. This change had been made decades earlier, back in 1982, when the rising cost of copper forced the mint to abandon pure copper coins. While this composition is cheaper, it also introduced new quirks. The thin copper coating is prone to flaws, peeling, and plating errors. Combine that with the sheer number of pennies struck each year, and there are plenty of chances for striking mistakes, double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, or transitional errors to slip through. For collectors, those minting mistakes are gold mines. For the 2012 penny error coins, certain dramatic examples have become especially valuable, with the most desirable ones landing in the incredible price range of $33,000 to $92,000. Think about that for a moment. A penny that was meant to be worth 1 cent could, under the right circumstances, be worth more than a luxury car. That's the kind of staggering transformation that makes people pay attention. It also explains why coin enthusiasts are so meticulous, why they check their change with magnifying glasses, why they study every curve of the lettering and every shadow of the design. Because they know that coins like the 2012 error penny exist, and they know that one lucky find can change everything. The most fascinating part about these errors is how they sneak into circulation. The mint produces coins at such a massive scale that errors are inevitable, but catching them all is nearly impossible. Imagine the machines striking hundreds of coins every minute. A die shifts slightly, creating a doubled design. A blank planchet is misaligned, creating an off-center strike. A penny is struck on the wrong type of planchet entirely. Any of these possibilities can create the kinds of dramatic errors that collectors dream of finding. And because pennies are so common, most people overlook them. That means a rare 2012 error penny might have been sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar for years, only to be discovered later by an attentive eye. Collectors and grading services play a huge role in determining the value of these coins. Condition is everything in numismatics. A 2012 penny error that has been heavily circulated, scratched, or worn down is still interesting, but it won't command top dollar. But a pristine example, one that has been preserved in excellent condition with its error crisp and unmistakable, is where the magic happens. That's how you get into that astonishing $33,000 to $92,000 range. The combination of rarity, condition, and dramatic error makes certain coins legendary among collectors. And then there's the excitement of the unknown. Imagine someone casually paying with a 2012 penny at a gas station or grocery store, completely unaware of its true value. That penny might have been spent and respent, tossed into a coin machine, or dropped on the ground without a second thought. The idea that a piece of pocket change can carry such hidden worth is thrilling. It's like a secret waiting to be uncovered, and only those who know what to look for have a chance of discovering it. Auction houses have played host to some incredible sales of modern era coins, and the 2012 penny has made its mark in this realm. Collectors are often willing to bid far beyond what most people expect, simply because they know how rare these errors are. Owning one isn't just about the monetary value, it's about holding a piece of history, a coin that represents a moment when the perfect system of minting slipped, creating something unique. In a world where billions of identical pennies exist, uniqueness is priceless. That's why some of these coins soar in value to nearly $92,000. It's also worth considering the storytelling aspect. Every era coin has a story, and that story adds to its mystique. For the 2012 penny, the story is one of modern minting, mass production, and the surprises that emerge when humans and machines interact. Collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a narrative, a tangible reminder of how even the most ordinary objects can become extraordinary when something unusual happens. That's the charm of numismatics. Coins aren't just money. They're history, art, and chance all rolled into one. Now, let's imagine what it would feel like to actually find one of these coins. You're sitting at home, sorting through spare change, maybe looking for state quarters or wheat pennies. You spot a 2012 penny and notice something odd. Maybe the lettering looks doubled, maybe the design is way off-center, or maybe the coin feels different in weight or color. You take a closer look, your heart starts racing, and you realize you might be holding something extraordinary. That moment of discovery is pure magic. And when you learn that your coin could be worth tens of thousands of dollars, between $33,000 and $92,000, that magic becomes life-changing. This is why so many people are drawn into coin collecting, even casually. It's the thrill of the hunt, the idea that something rare and valuable might be hiding in plain sight. The 2012 error penny proves that even modern coins, Ones that seem too new to be special can hold astonishing surprises. And unlike ancient coins or centuries-old rarities, these modern errors are often still out there, waiting to be found in everyday circulation. For those who already collect coins, the 2012 penny is a reminder of why they fell in love with the hobby in the first place. It's about more than money. It's about connection to history, to craftsmanship, and to the randomness of chance. And for those who aren't collectors yet, stories like this often spark curiosity. After all, who wouldn't want to check their change a little more carefully knowing that a single penny could be worth up to $92,000? At its core, the 2012 1-cent error coin is a symbol of how extraordinary things often hide in the ordinary. It challenges us to look closer, to pay attention, and to recognize that sometimes value isn't obvious at first glance. Most people will handle thousands of pennies in their lifetime without ever thinking twice about them. But for the lucky few, one of those pennies could be the key to a small fortune. A piece of history that turns pocket change into treasure, so the next time you get change back at the store, don't dismiss those pennies. Take a closer look. One of them might just be more than it seems. And who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to uncover a rare 2012 penny error, turning a single cent into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth between $33,000 and $92,000. That's the beauty of coins like this. They remind us that treasure doesn't always come in gold bars or treasure chests. Sometimes, it comes in the smallest coin in your pocket, waiting for the right person to notice. You're standing at the counter of your local store, you get your change back, and in that little pile of coins sits a simple penny. Nothing special, right? Just another 1-cent piece, dull in color, tiny in size, and practically invisible in the grand scheme of money. Most of us toss them into jars, lose them under car seats, or ignore them completely. But what if I told you that a 2019 US penny could actually be hiding a secret worth more than you could imagine? What if that plain little coin in your pocket or piggy bank could sell for as much as $27,000 to $81,000 depending on its condition and rarity? It sounds impossible, almost unbelievable, but this is the reality of one of the most exciting error coins collectors have been buzzing about, the 2019 penny error. The beauty of coin collecting or numismatics is that treasures often come disguised as the ordinary. And that's exactly what makes the 2019 penny error so thrilling. The US Mint produced billions of pennies in 2019, mostly Lincoln cents with the familiar design we all recognize. Abraham Lincoln's profile is on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the reverse features the Union Shield that has been in use since 2010. Billions poured out of the mints in Philadelphia and Denver. To the average person, every single one looks identical. But within that massive production run, a tiny fraction slipped through with mistakes. Errors that transformed a coin worth 1 cent into something worth tens of thousands. Now, when people hear about valuable coins, they often think of ancient relics or centuries-old pieces no longer in circulation. That's why the 2019 penny is so fascinating. It's modern, recent, and it's still out there in circulation right now. That means anyone, yes, even you, could stumble across one without realizing it. These 2019 errors often involve double die strikes, off-center strikes, or, in some rare cases, coins minted on the wrong planchet. One of the most talked about examples is when the penny is struck with doubling on the date or lettering, something that collectors immediately recognize as a sign of rarity. And because the year is so recent, these errors weren't expected, making them even more desirable among those chasing modern mint mistakes. Imagine the surprise of someone emptying a pocket of change, spotting a 2019 penny, and noticing that Lincoln's image looks slightly distorted, or the numbers in the date seem to have a faint doubling effect. At first, they might think their eyes are playing tricks. But upon closer inspection, they realize they're holding something extraordinary, something that a grading company like PCGS or NGC would certify as an error coin. That's when the reality hits. This simple penny could fetch between $27,000 to $81,000 at auction. To put that into perspective, think about what you could do with $27,000, let alone $81,000. That's not pocket change, that's a brand new car, a year of college tuition, or even a solid down payment on a house. And it's all hidden in a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to bend down and pick up off the sidewalk. That's the kind of engagement and thrill stories like this spark in the numismatic world. So how do these errors happen? The US Mint uses extremely precise machinery to strike coins, and the chances of an error slipping through are incredibly small. Yet perfection isn't always possible. Sometimes dies are misaligned, sometimes planchets slip through that aren't meant for pennies, and sometimes doubling occurs when a die shifts slightly during striking. These accidents are rare, but when they do happen, they turn a common coin into a treasure. For 2019 pennies, errors involving doubling on the obverse or off-center strikes are especially popular, and it's these examples that have driven collectors into bidding wars, pushing values up into that eye-popping $27,000 to $81,000 range. Stories of lucky finds have only fueled the excitement. Consider the person who innocently brought a handful of coins to a local coin shop, thinking they were just selling some spare change. Buried in that mix was a 2019 error penny. The shopkeeper recognized the flaw instantly and explained that this wasn't just any penny. After grading and authentication, the coin went to auction and stunned everyone by fetching tens of thousands of dollars. The seller, who thought he was handing over a coin worth a single cent, walked away with enough to completely change his financial situation. Tales like this are why people continue to search through their coins today. For collectors, condition is everything. If a 2019 penny error has been circulated heavily, its surfaces might be scratched, faded, or worn down. While it could still bring in an impressive sum, it won't hit the highest figures. On the other hand, if the coin is uncirculated, meaning it has been preserved in pristine condition since leaving the mint, its value skyrockets. Add professional certification from PCGS or NGC to the mix, and now you have a coin with proof of authenticity and rarity. That's when the bidding wars begin. Imagine being the person who preserved such a coin and watching it climb to $81,000 at an auction while collectors compete fiercely to own it. What makes this story even more captivating is the idea that these coins are still out there. Unlike older coins, where most rare examples have already been found and locked into collections, the 2019 penny error is still circulating in the wild. That means when you get change back from the grocery store or withdraw a roll of pennies from the bank, you could very well be holding on to a small fortune without knowing it. That possibility, the dream that one day you'll find one, is what keeps people searching, checking, and holding on to their 2019 pennies just in case. Let's pause for a second and think about what that means. You could go to the bank today, request a few rolls of pennies, and within those rolls could be a life-changing discovery. While the odds are slim, people do it every single day. This hobby, known as coin roll hunting, has exploded in popularity because of stories like this. Imagine spending just 50 cents to get a roll of pennies and discovering one coin inside worth $27,000 to $81,000. That kind of return on investment doesn't happen anywhere else. At auctions, these coins don't just attract bidders, they create excitement. The room grows tense, collectors raise their paddles, and bids climb higher and higher as everyone wants a chance to own the rare 2019 penny error. When the hammer finally comes down and the price settles somewhere in that astonishing $27,000 to $81,000 range, it's a moment of triumph for the buyer and a life-changing windfall for the seller. Auctioneers love coins like these because they electrify the crowd, bringing in headlines and sparking new interest in the hobby. But the real magic lies in the contrast. The 2019 penny error teaches us that value isn't always obvious. We assume valuable coins must be ancient or exotic, yet here's a coin so new it could have been in your pocket yesterday, and it's worth more than many people's annual salary. It makes you look at every penny differently, doesn't it? So the next time you're about to dismiss a penny as useless, stop and take a second look. That tiny coin could be a ticket to thousands of dollars. Somewhere out there, a handful of people have already cashed in, selling their 2019 penny error for staggering amounts. Others are still searching, still hoping, still examining every coin that passes through their hands. And the question is, will you be the next lucky one? Because that's the allure of this coin. The 2019 penny error isn't just about money. It's about possibility, about the thrill of discovery, and about how something so small can completely change your perspective on value. That dull, copper-colored coin in your hand might just be hiding a story worth $27,000 to $81,000. And all it takes to uncover it is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to look closely at what others ignore.